Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's great to hear all our presenters this morning talk about, tourism and partnership and ambition and lifting the bar. And I want to talk to you this morning about how we at Castlecoole will raise the bar next year and hopefully change perceptions. For every day, thousands of cars pass the gates of Castlecoole on the Dublin Road, and most of the occupants are completely oblivious to what lies beyond those gates, only a short distance away. And in the Antiques Roadshow broadcast last Sunday, presenter Fiona Bruce mentioned that Castlecoole is a best-kept secret, and that the BBC would like to help us to change all that. And for us too, in 2012, we want to raise the profile of Castlecoole so that it is recognised as a key tourist destination in Fermanagh and highlight its potential both as a venue for large events and as a key leisure facility for local people. What we don't want Fermanagh and Castlecoole to be is a best-kept secret. And why celebrate 2012? Well, we feel that next year is worth celebrating because Castlecoole was transferred to the National Trust in 1951. The Trust is Northern Ireland's leading conservation charity, with 4 million members across Northern Ireland, England and Wales, and 56,000 members in Northern Ireland. So Castlecoole opened to the public in 1952. That's 60 years ago. Not many attractions in our county can surpass that record, as we saw in Tanya's presentation. But we want to be more, and we can be. And working with our tourism partners in Fermanagh, we can make this county a more attractive destination and grow our tourism industry. I want to talk to you about Castlecoole in 2012 and our plans for the year ahead especially. But before I get into that, and as the Trust has been in the county now for 60 years, I think it is worth reflecting for a moment on where we are now. In that time, we have acquired our 3 main properties in Fermanagh. We have Castlecoole, we have Crum Estate, and we have Florence Court. But there's more to our properties than meets the eye. Including our 2 Georgian mansions and our 3 historic parks with over 2,600 acres, we have a wide range of outside buildings. We have over 1,000 acres let to local tenant farmers. We own a church in Fermanagh. We own an island in Upper Lough, Erne. We have 9 holiday cottages and 19 tenanted houses across our estates. We also have a very diverse wildlife habitat with bats and every species of bats and red squirrels across our sites. And this year we will have an operational spend of 850,000, and most of that spend is reinvested in the Fermanagh economy. So back to Castlecoole and our story. During our Diamond celebrations, we want to bring some of our remarkable stories about Castlecoole and its people to life. Like the story of this guy, for example, Somerset Lowry Corrie. He was the 2nd Earl of Belmore, and he succeeded his father and inherited the newly built Castlecoole, along with his considerable debts, I have to say. Indeed, the 1st Earl had spent his entire fortune on building the house and had scarcely enough money left to furnish it, which led to a visitor's remark in 1805 saying, "The house is beautiful, but it is sadly wanting for furniture." And what had his father created at Castlecoole? Well, literally, a palace in the park. The most exquisite Georgian house that money could buy. Built over 10 years and completed in 1797, it has 116 rooms and was designed by James Wyatt, the most fashionable architect of the day. It is built of Portland stone, brought all the way from Dorset. Just imagine the feat of getting that stone from Dorset to Castlecoole in the 18th century. The wood, the mahogany, came from Cuba, and the most skilled and notable craftsmen of the day created its expensive interiors. Castlecoole was expensive and luxurious and extravagant. In fact, Castlecoole is a gem, and it is recognised as one of the most important possessions in the care of the National Trust. A superb building with a superb collection of art and furnishings, and it is surrounded by a beautiful park, and it is right on our doorstep. So this is what Somerset inherited. And what did he do? Despite all his family debts, giant debts, I have to say, he thought he was better off than he actually was, and he went off on another spending spree, enhancing Castlecoole even further through building the Grand Yard, then employing John Preston of Dublin to furnish the house with the magnificent collection that is still there today. And then, no doubt, trying to get away from his spiralling debts, and with an interest in antiquities, he embarked on a nautical project. Now, we don't have the Titanic in Fermanagh, but we have Osprey, and this is the story of Osprey. Belmore bought this brig. She was an American naval boat, 86 foot, from the Americans, and spent nearly £10,000 fitting her out, including the latest in flushing water closets. And in 1816, he took his wife, his 3 children by her, plus 1 illegitimate child by someone else, a doctor, a tutor, 2 maids, and they all set off on a 2-year adventure around the Mediterranean and Egypt. He was the first European to do so. They set off from Southampton, went to Gibraltar, places like Malta, Cairo, Naples, Constantinople, and Egypt. And indeed, Belmore graffiti can still be found in the Temple of Dinura in Egypt, which they carved their names on the stones there. At the end of the whole thing, he'd amassed a huge collection of antiquities and sold the brig to the King of Naples. On returning to Fermanagh, he was greeted by cheering crowds and a 22-verse poem written by Mr. Murphy from Enniskillen. And no doubt his creditors are more than pleased to see him return as well. And 2 relics of the Osprey today can be seen on the steps at Florence Court. They are 2 of her 14 guns, and legend has it that they were won in a bet by Lord Enniskillen. And so moving on to Castlecoole and the diamond celebrations. We have some good stories, and we have the amazing Castlecoole. So we want you to join us for 2012 and discover how the house has many qualities associated with diamonds. It was and is very costly. In fact, so costly it makes me feel like getting on a brig and escaping to the Mediterranean at sometimes as well. It is a harsh but perfect exterior, a very flashy interior, and like a diamond, leaves a real impact, leaving the visitor wishing it was theirs. Now, some of our diamond highlights for next year. We are spending £100,000 upgrading our visitor facilities at the moment. We will launch them for next spring, and that will include a lifting of the tea room, which currently only seats 30 people, but we'll have capacity now to cater for coach parties. We'll also refresh and refurbish the shop and create a new toilet facility as well. We also plan to have a year-round exhibition which will celebrate the story of Castlecoole, both in the past, in the present, and our ambitions for Castlecoole in the future. 600 bulbs we will plant at Castlecoole next year, and that is part of our wider ambition to plant 100,000 bulbs across the Fermanagh properties over a 10-year period running up to 2020. We've been planting 10,000 each year now for 2 years, and next year we'll plant 600 at Castlecoole. We will have a gala concert in April, a diamond art exhibition also in April, a gala dinner in June, and the tribute nights. And that's when the main activity will be concentrated around, because Castlecoole opened to the public in June 1952, and we want to celebrate that anniversary at that particular time. We're also looking to have a family diamond event for the family in July. And we're going to move Santa and Mrs. Claus is moving out of Florence Court for 1 year only to Castlecoole next year, and we'll take over the basement of Castlecoole. So these are some of the activity highlights that we're planning for next year. So join with us in 2012 and celebrate the story of Castlecoole, past, present and future. It is incredible that a place built for the pleasure of just one family has a much greater relevance today on so many levels, not least as a source of employment and the economic benefits it brings to Fermanagh. Who else but the National Trust has the skills, the resources and the passion to care for Castlecoole in the style to which it has become accustomed? And finally, we have been here for 60 years. The Trust is in the business of sustainability. We think long-term, forever, for everyone. And we look forward to working with you all for an even better future for the next 60 years. And finally, come join the Castlecoole party in 2012. Thank you.